Welcome to Michelle's Opinions. Today, I actually got somebody to analyze that amazing photo um, of light body orbs and connected to the divine. He's seen so much. Very talented gentleman. I hope you guys enjoy this. Okay, here are the original two images that my husband took while we were at ECETI. We went and observed what was called table tipping, which I described in a previous video. And I kept turning around as I felt these beings moving around behind me. I felt like something was walking behind me. Um, I felt like tingling on my head. I felt tingling all over my body. It was joy, love, just, it was an amazing experience. I appreciate James Gilliland for doing this for our group and allowing us to be there. And I thank the beings or for revealing themselves to us and allowing us to actually capture them. Now I'm going to bring Lee on, who I gave the original photo to, and he's got 25 years of experience working with analyzing photos and drawing out the layers of the different images that are actually in these captures. Okay, as I just showed you the original image, I had passed it over to somebody that I know that has been doing this for a very long time and has a very keen eye and very observant and able to draw out things. His name is Lee, and let me allow him to tell you a little bit about himself and how he came about doing these types of things and what kind of anomalies he captures.
Yeah, hi Michelle. I've been working with Photoshop and image editing and such since I was 16. So um, I know that I started using Photoshop in the mid 90s. So that's at least 25 years ago now. So you do kind of get a. I don't know. I've never been one for using Photoshop in the way that a lot of other people do. I've never been overly comfortable with things like airbrushing or adding stuff in. None of my images, none of the work I do involves involves anything that's not in the picture already. So everything I do is editing and making adjustments, really knowing what to work with. So there's so levels and curves and things like that, where you adjust the lighting, the temperature, the color, all of that lot. So that's the main thing I do. I've never once added anything fake in any of my images. And I know that that's something people do with Photoshop, but it's got so many more applications to it. And you can get a lot done just by making adjustments. There's no need to add stuff a lot of the time. So, and it's the same thing with my clouds and stuff. So otherwise it just wouldn't be, it wouldn't be legitimate. What's the point in putting something fake out when you're trying to prove that, these anomalies and phenomena exist? You don't need expensive technology. You just need a fairly decent camera and to know what you're doing with the image afterwards. So, and most people can do this. It's not too hard. It just, maybe it helps having an artistic mind and having done this for a long time. But I think also my own personal process in more recent years, through my own spirituality and my own observation of the sky and stuff, has also helped me to see where these tools like Photoshop can be applied in exposing and revealing a lot of the things that are hidden from us that we don't see every day. So
Okay, we're looking at the first image that you made of the original. What can you say about it, and what do you see in it?
Is that the green one?
Yes.
Just have to get my images back open again. Yeah, so one of the things I noticed in this, it's one of the reasons why I've gone through all of the images, as you'll see as you go along them, is that some of them are quite heavily focused with different colors. So this one's predominantly green. So the idea is that you filter different colors or have different lens, like a different lens or a color that you look through, and each color will reveal something. And you've got to think of it in terms of layers. When you've taken a photograph, it's capturing a whole three-dimensional space of data, and then all of that data is being compressed into a two-dimensional image. But that data can be picked out and adjusted, and when that happens, you start to reveal other elements of an image, and sometimes that means having to remove certain colors or put a heavier focus on some colors over others. And as a result, it can actually bring out different or highlight different aspects of an image. With this one, you can, this is when I first saw the three lines coming out of your head, and that there's a very obvious, it's kind of inverted as well. So you'll notice that there's almost like a dark shaft that is going over you. If it was the other way around, it would be a light shaft, but you wouldn't notice it in the original image. So it's through doing these color adjustments that you begin to see the three lines that go all the way down through your head and down your back, and then you've got this like shaft of energy or something going on around you and above you. That's quite interesting there.
You know, I just noticed, so I'm looking at this one, the blue above my head almost looks like wings. Like
Right.
a being behind me, and with wings.
Well, I'm getting that it's more likely to be your energy body, your light body. And I mean, that's what we were saying in the first take, was that because you were there, I mean, from knowing you, I know that you're very connected and very, and you have access to your light body. So the way I see it is that whether you were consciously doing it or not, your higher self certainly would have been engaged in the process of holding the light, as it were, for that particular scenario. It was a paranormal divining activity. And I think, in any situation, like with a medium, for instance, they will be setting an intention and clearing a sacred space, a bubble, if almost, in order to keep in order to create a safe space for spirits or entities or beings or to come in.
And in this
So
one,
it
you
reminds me of
notice
that.
that the other people in the room are gone. I'm
Yeah.
there and they're gone. We're gonna see in a later image where it's actually opposite.
Yes. Yes. It's almost as
Fascinating.
if, right. So it's like this is the inversion of the actual photograph. So in the next image, you'll probably, which one? Shall we go to the next image?
Sure. Let me pull it up.
Which one was that? Would that be? Would that be the purpley one?
Yes. And I keep
Right.
having to mute out so I'm not bleeding over the top or echoing. So if you hear me clicking in and out, it's because I don't want to bleed over what you're saying. So yeah, now we're on the purpley pink one that
Yeah.
you
Well,
made.
you'll notice. Yeah, you'll notice that everybody, I mean, you'll see, what looks like people. I mean, your partner's, I think that's your partner next to you, right? So, but they're all dense, solid colors. But when you look at you, it's almost as if you're phasing out of reality. It's like it's almost like you're not there. Um, as if, or maybe you're kind of like, I don't know, projecting some kind of ethereal light, which is being captured by the reflection of the glass and then bouncing back and hitting the camera. So it's really interesting. You can kind of see how there's an element where, I mean, this to me, that's how it seems to me, that you're literally projecting light outwards. You're facilitating the space with your light.
Guarding
And
the
so,
door.
right, you're almost like the gatekeeper of that particular area, that point. Yeah, I think, isn't it like the classic directions, depending on what side of the room you may be on, you're kind of holding down the light of a particular direction, so that, being a watchtower in a sense, as this event and situation is going on, it's like, all beings of light will be called to this scenario in order to hold the space and make sure that everything's done safely. And I think whether you were conscious of it or not, that's what would have happened. That's how I would have seen it anyway. So it's like it's like your essence, your being is knows what to do and automatically just turns the switch on, and there you are, I mean, that would also explain why you're so sensitive and feeling everything as well, because you were super activated. So
as I was showing you in the beginning of this post, the original photo before he did some work on it, that I felt like beings were walking behind me. I kept turning around, and my husband then got annoyed with me turning around and just snapped a photo because I could feel him. But it was heartfelt, it was peaceful, it was loving, it was what I was feeling within me. I felt like tingling on my head, I felt tingling all through my body, but it was like anything that was in there was for the highest good of all the people in there.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of the state you need to be in, really. So yeah, the way I look at it is you're kind of being a guardian angel for that particular situation.
You're so sweet. You're being very, very kind. Okay, you ready to go to number 3?
Yeah, it's the blue one, right? Yeah, the blue one really adds some.
Blue one.
Is it the blue one? And once again, you can see it. I mean, this is a standard version, so it's not inverted, but by reducing the saturation and reducing some of the light, you get to see past some of the overwhelming color areas, and that's when you get to see other layers and stuff. But once again, you can see very quite clearly the 3 lines that are going down from your head all the way down your back. You've got the shaft of light now that's clearly creating some kind of barrier or shield for you. So it's really very very interesting, and that's when you can begin to see other lines and stuff happening too. So very interesting there.
And that's where, like, from the top part of my chair down is translucent. Like, I'm disappearing. I'm phased out.
Yeah.
And then the anomalies on the ceiling, are, those lines on the ceiling are actually, they're not going along with the actual texture of the ceiling. They're going in a different direction. So there was a lot of anomalies. Plus, there was an orb looking thing in the corner of the door. I don't know if that was extra protection, another being there at the door protecting that doorway.
Yeah.
Let me know when you're ready to go to the next one. Let me get prepared.
Yeah. The way I see that is actually looking at this one, it's almost like there's structures there that aren't even in the room, as if from my perspective, from what I look at, I believe there are invisible structures, or perhaps another phase of reality that exists parallel to ours, and sometimes we can get glimpses or bleed throughs of that reality and see structures and shapes. They may not make sense, but that's because they're completely out of context with what we're looking at. So I think there's a lot of stuff here to indicate that there's some kind of out of phase structure that's also there parallel to where you are, So
And
it's quite
those lines on the ceiling, I believe that is where James and his counterpart are, like it's above them. So, to put it into context, it was a very full room. There was probably about 60 people in there, and we were sitting around in that circle, and they were in the center, sitting under a triangle with a wooden table, with this demonstration, and that looks like it could possibly be right above them, like his fortress of protection that was right above them too.
right. And also, the triangle and pyramidic structures often can enhance those situations too. So,
Okay, just let me know when you're ready to go to the fourth image that you made.
okay, we can go to the fourth one.
Okay.
That's the which one's that one? Is that the green and pink one? This is the
Yes.
one. This is the one that creates a lot of the contrast and really helps. Actually, that really picks out some of the lines. You can see this. The shaft of light thing is still there, but on top of that, you get to see almost like you get to see the three lines, but then either side of those lines is like a bigger bubble. So it's like a bubble within a bubble over you type of thing. And I mean, looking at this one, it's almost as if your body isn't even in the chair. You're not even sat in the chair. You're seeing you're seeing the chair. You're seeing the shape of the chair through you. You can even see the line. That's the crazy thing. So it's almost as if you're not even in the chair.
Interesting. And that
And
that golden circle that is out, where the doors open and it extends all around. It's like it just looks like a golden circle of protection, like a vortex of protection guarding that door.
right.
I know you have more to say on this one because this is your favorite one.
It's mainly because of the contrast. Is because whilst you've got the pink there, the green kind of really contrasts quite nicely with it. So you can begin to see it. If you went over to the branch, the tree, just on the edge of the photograph, you'll even be able to see there's a purpley bluish aura around that branch. And I wanted to make the point that it's kind of similar to Kirlian photography, but the difference is you don't need a special camera because the camera captures a lot of data anyway. It's the fact it's knowing what to do with that data that's important, knowing how to adjust it and make the adjustments to change the settings and alter an image without taking anything away from it or adding anything that's not originally in it. That's the most important thing. We want to try and create genuine images with what's there, not with stuff that isn't. So everything that you see in that image, all of that color is representative of something that's already there, captured in that image, including that little aura around that tree and all the other strange anomalies that are going on in that photograph. So, glad I could help with that. Anyway.
And you're right. You can read the words on the door, so that's clear. So it's not it's not a blurred picture or anything is in distortion. There's
Right.
things that show up absolutely clear, and
Yes. It's not like
amazing.
it's obvious that it wasn't the camera that was moving or jiggling around or because most of the detail is there. There's a lot of detail there. You can get the patterns on the back of the chairs. So it's not the fact that the camera was out of focus. It was the fact that there must have been a lot of when you've got a lot of light happening in a room and there's a lot of movement and energy flowing through it. That's going to create a lot of distortions and things which will then become visible, capturable, because it's just refractions of light at the end of the day. So whatever's moving around, even if it's invisible, you could still capture it by the fact that the light would be reflecting or refracting. I can't remember which one is, but the main point is you can still capture it, and it's just a case of knowing what to do with the image.
And again, on the ceiling, there's that green showed up in those lines, and they go against the grain of the ceiling. So it's something that, and I do believe that is above where James and his counterpart was sitting. It's just absolutely amazing. Now you said there was other things that you would like to do, and as you do work with these things, the overlays. Can you explain
Mm.
a little bit more about that?
Oh, well, what I would next probably do is take each of these images and then put them together one over the other and just experiment with the layers and how they blend in with each other and see what happens. I don't know exactly if it would be a discernible image or what would come out of it, but I mean, it's one of the ways that I experiment. I will do multiple variations of the same image with all of these different color adjustments, and I'd either put them into an animated GIF, because a lot of the time you get a lot of movement in a static image. All it takes is just adjusting the curves, and you can actually create a very animated image just from one photograph. And in that one photograph, it's like a moment of time. You're capturing movements happening in a very tiny amount of time, but it's like time is compressed within a photograph. So you get a lot of stuff going on in a very short space of time just in that one static image.
And he did mention that, that we were all spinning in a vortex, because there was another image that I showed on another post, and
Yeah,
everybody's faces were blurred, but we were able to see each other clearly because we were
right.
all moving as one in this spinning in this vortex.
Yeah. And
Very
it might also,
interesting, and you did not know that until I just now told you, and you just
well,
said
it
all
might
that
explain,
before that.
yeah.
Wow.
Well, it might explain some of the movements of the light and why there was a number of color and light distortions going on in that image, because if the camera itself was still and there wasn't, there's not much in the way of blur, then where all these swirls and movements coming from in terms of the color? So that must be also kind of capturing an essence of that vortex like environment too. So, and all the other things that were moving around in there.
And that other image, that pink image, we're in that vortex too, but they came through very clearly, where we were able to see the different beings. But that's for a different show. I would appreciate it if you would like to continue on and give me your professional opinion on, and do a little more work on it. I
Yeah.
appreciate your, professional, and the years that you've got invested in this. This picture has been an anomaly to me, and I'm just, somebody had given me some feedback that it was a plasma cloud that was making the disappearing, the phasing out, which is a
Right.
possibility. But
Over just you? Okay. Maybe. Who knows? I mean, we don't know how this stuff works, really. We're only just remembering. We're only just beginning to remember and wake up to this knowledge and these awarenesses. So, eventually it will fall into place. We just got to keep on keeping on.
and keep on holding the light and holding the space and moving forward on our paths. You will
And just
find
trusting ourselves. Yeah.
You will find Lee's information in the description box for his channel, where he does cloud therapy, and he does the same thing with clouds and sky images. So I hope you go and check out his work, and hopefully we can progress along with some of these anomalies that we were lucky enough and blessed with to capture. I do feel like it's an honor that they allowed us to capture this, as we went in with no expectations, and just as an observer, and for what we got from it. I mean, It's absolutely amazing, and the room was full of love, and it was a joyous energy. It felt good. There was nothing bad, and like we talked earlier, the one of the first things that he did, a being came forward and identified the negative presences that were in the room, and I think there was 25 of them, and they were all evicted from this space before he started going through the process of, the table tipping. And that table stopped at these odd angles that, with their palms just resting on it. I did not see any strain on the woman's arms, that she was trying to hold that table in that awkward position. It was a wooden table. It was just her hands were resting on it, and so were his. It was just something new, a new experience, and I do thank James Gilliland for allowing us the opportunity, to take part in this demonstration. It was wonderful. You have any parting words?
Oh, thank you for letting me see your pictures, and it's grateful to help.
Thank you very much, Lee. Remember,
No, thanks.
find his channel in the description box, and always share what you know so we can all listen and grow. Please like, share, and subscribe. Hit the bell to be notified of new postings, premieres, and live shows. If you'd like to sponsor the channel, the links are below. I have both Patreon and PayPal. And thank you, channel supporters. Without your support to keep things going, I don't know where I would be. It's people like you and your generosity that helps the work improve and for us to be able to grow. Thank you.